Hey guys, Chris Fix here. Today we're going to go change the rotors and pads on this 2002 Chevy Trailblazer. This will work for pretty much any vehicle though, same concept. So here's everything you're going to need to do the job. We have our new brake rotor, brake pads. We have some blue Loctite. You don't need that. I suggest that you use it. Screwdriver, flathead just for prying stuff. A ratchet with two different sockets, an 18mm and a 17mm. That might vary on your vehicle. Some high temperature grease. This is the only specialized tool you need. This is a brake tool. It pushes the pistons in. A metal wire brush and a breaker bar and a torque wrench. That's it, and that'll be enough to change both the rotors and the brakes. In order to get the rotor off, we're gonna have to take this whole caliper off. Now there's two different bolts we'll be looking at today. Here and here on the top. If you look on the bottom, here and here. This bolt connects to the knuckle and that holds the caliper in place. That bolt connects to the caliper itself and allows this piece right here to hinge open so that we could change the brake pads. And the same right here. This bolt that my finger's on connects the caliper to the knuckle, and this bolt is what holds the top of the caliper to hold the brake pads in. So the first thing we're going to do is take the brake pads out. Depending on your vehicle, you're either going to want to take the top one off or the bottom one, and you could tell by the brake line. So the brake line here won't allow this to hinge open like that, so we're going to have to hinge it open like this. So that means we're going to have to take the bottom one off. Here's the bottom bolt to take this cover and hinge it up. This is a 17mm. Comes right out like that. Now this should hinge up. Screwdriver will help you out. There you go. And here are your brake pads. So that will just hold right there. Just like that. And now we'll take these brake pads out. Since we're replacing the rotors, you could get a screwdriver in here and just pop them out like that. And go on the other side. Same thing. Now we'll close this, and I'm just going to screw this in just a little bit. It doesn't have to be screwed in all the way because we're going to have to put brake pads on. And then now we're going to take the bottom bolt off of this. The bottom bolt is 18mm. You can see it's that one right there. I'm using a breaker bar, which gives me a lot more torque. Plus they're kind of stuck on there pretty good. Good. Now we have to get the top one off and we can take the caliper off. With the bottom bolt removed, we're going to take off this top bolt here, and then the whole caliper will come off so that we can get to the brake rotor. We're going to get the breaker bar and the 18mm socket, put it on, and now unscrew this. But be careful, because when you unscrew this, this whole caliper is going to want to drop. And you do not want to suspend it by this brake line here. This brake line should have no pressure on it. So have some type of hanger, clothes hanger, like a metal wire clothes hanger, or a bungee cord ready to go. Or maybe your brake will get held by the suspension parts, and I'll show you that in a sec. So I have my hand underneath it, holding it up. Got that bolt out. Pull this out, and I'm able to put it right here, like this. And this isn't going anywhere. You don't want any pressure on this brake line back here, which there is none. It's in a good location. And you want to make sure this won't drop. Some people use a wire hanger and connect it to the spring or whatever, or use a bungee cord and connect it to the knuckle. But this is actually a good setup right here, not going anywhere. So now we have access to the rotor. So with that brake caliper out of the way, this is very simple. Comes right off. Take the new one. Goes right on. And the reason why we're doing a rotor change is because when you press on the brakes, the car vibrates. The steering wheel moves left and right, and it vibrates, meaning that these got warped. So the new ones will prevent that. Also, we're putting on nice new brakes. The rotors are originals, so you might as well put on some nice new rotors. So now we'll take our whole caliper, put it back into place, take that top bolt, put it in, get it started. Now you can let go. Now we're going to take our other bolt, get it in, start screwing it. Might take a little bit of a lining because this moves up and down. We'll hand tighten them. After we hand tighten them, I'm going to do a little trick. I'm going to just take a lug nut, tighten it down, and this will put the rotor in the right position so that this aligns correctly. So you can see I could start tightening it by hand a little bit more now. Now we're going to set the torque wrench to your manual's specifications. My manual says to do 120 foot-pounds, so that's what I set it to. My torque wrench, and now I'll tighten it down. And you just want to hear it click. Do it one more time. Good. Now do the top. Good. Some people like to put a little bit of Loctite on these bolts. This is the removable blue type. It just makes it harder for the bolts to come off. I don't find it necessary if you torque it correctly, but I'm just including this in the list of stuff that you could use. It's all up to you. Now I'm going to unscrew this again. I didn't screw it all the way in from before. And this will come right up, just like before. Now we have our new brake rotor in. There's no clearance issues. Now we're going to want to put the new brakes in, but first we're going to clean this off with a metal wire brush and also compress these pistons. Pretty much just want to clean on the insides here and clean on up here. Just get all that old brake dust off. The spring popped off. Just push that back in. Now we're going to compress the pistons. To compress the pistons, what you do is you just take your old brake pad, you put it up here. This has 2 pistons. Then you take your brake piston tool and you close it up. Put it in here and it slides in so it holds up against here, and we just tighten it down. Now as you do this, you might want to open up your brake reservoir because the pressure, we're pushing brake fluid back in, but we're pretty much just turning this, tightening it down to compress these. So as you're tightening this down, to make it easier, just go to your master cylinder here and you open this up and just leave it loose on top. Make sure this is clean so that you're not getting any dirt in there. Got the bottom one tightened, go to the top now. Might have to go back and forth a few times. This actually looks pretty good. Good, now those are compressed. So now here are the old brake pads, here are the new brake pads. You can see the old brake pads have springs on them. These brake pads didn't come with springs, so you're just going to pull them off, use a screwdriver. And then they snap in just like that. Just pop the spring off. You can see where it fits in. And just slide it right in. Do that with the other one as well. So a lot of brake kits come with lube. This one doesn't. You just take a little bit and you put it on where the brake pads will rub against the metal here. So the top here and the top here. Just a little bit. And then the other place you're going to want to put some lube is on the back of the caliper. Right back here. Right here. And right here. And then the final place is on these pistons. You just put a little bit so that they don't stick. And there you go. Now I can put the brake pads in. So here are the new brake pads. They slide in just like that. So you can see they slide right in. A little bit of grease. And we're going to do the same exact thing to the other side. So here's our other side. Again, clips are on. Just as a reminder, there's an anti-rattle clip in here. Some cars have them, some cars don't. That'll keep your brake pad from rattling around when it's not being pressed. Just keeps a little bit of pressure on them. So you want to put some grease up there and some grease right down in there. And you take your brake pads, slide right in there, slide right in there, just like that. And then you just press them against here, like that. So they're up against the rotor. So now we're going to drop the top of the caliper. Going to have to align it a little bit, shimmying it back and forth. And if you push those pistons in enough, it should go right down over it. And then we're going to align this bolt here, right in like that. Hand tighten it for now. This bolt should be 40 foot-pounds of torque. Good. So now we'll take off this lug nut. We'll just make sure we tighten that one. This one we didn't touch. We tighten both of those. Good. Got the two pads in. They're greased properly. They have the springs in properly. And they're sitting exactly where they need to sit. Good. Now let's check the master cylinder to make sure it's topped off. So there's the max line right there, and there's our black line right there. That's our brake fluid. We could probably add a little bit more, and this is .3 brake fluid. You don't want to mix and match. Make sure you're using .3. Make sure you're using the correct one. For this vehicle it's .3. For another vehicle it could be .4, so check your owner's manual. For a job like this, you don't need to bleed any of your brakes. Just top it off. Make sure you don't use brake fluid that's been open for more than 3 months, because it gets moisture in it, and that's no good. Nice and clean. That's on securely. So we are done. That's how you change the brakes and rotors on a car. It's going to be the same for most cars. This is a 2002 Trailblazer. It's a Chevy. If this video helped out, give it a thumbs up. That helps me out. If you'd like to see more how-to videos, subscribe. I constantly publish how-to videos, and that'll help you save money fixing your own stuff, and you know you got it done correctly, and you'll learn some stuff on the way too. Also check out my Facebook and Twitter. If you use Facebook or Twitter, the links are in the description below. That'll let you know when I release videos, and also give you tips and tricks and when I do giveaways. On the screen you'll see videos popping up, show you other brake videos. They'll be helpful if you have drum brakes in the rear or a different vehicle. These brakes are similar in many ways, but every car company has different brakes. You could click on the video on the screen, or you could check it out in the description below.